Call the meeting to order. Start with the pledge.
Pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
I need a motion to approve the minutes from the March 12th and 26th meetings.
I'll make a motion to approve the March 12th minutes.
I second the motion.
Motion been made and seconded. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
All opposed, same sign. Treasurer's report.
All right, for treasurer's report, if you're in person, it's the third page in your packet, and then Pam also has it up on the screen here. Starting at the top, our beginning balance in our checking was $183,273. Less our expenses plus our revenues gave us an ending balance in our checking of $174,456. And then in our UBS investment account, we have $230,689 for total assets for the township of $405,145. Moving down to the middle section, looking at our expenses for the month of March year over year, our expenses were about $7,000 higher. And this is due to around $5,000 for legal fees related to the wholesome annual permitting and kind of items there, and then as well as some SHC bills for the EAW review year over year. And then on the revenue side, very similar to March of last year, so nothing notable to call out there. And then if we go all the way down to the bottom, I'll call it the very bottom line on the left, our year-to-date surplus is $4,000 through March. Any questions for me?
I'll make a motion to approve treasurer's report.
Second the motion.
Okay, motion has been made and seconded. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Bills.
And then one thing I'll note while you guys start reviewing the bills here, very close to the bottom, you'll see negative amounts. So item number 69, for example. Pam added one more that won't be visible here, but we're going to do kind of negative expenses for when Wholesome reimburses us. So Wholesome is paid up to date to reimburse us for all of our SHC bills, so those will appear as like a negative expense because we don't want to overstate revenue, if that makes sense. But let me know if you have questions on that.
Do we have a motion to approve the bills?
I'll make a motion to approve bills 53 through 71 for a total of $23,130.06.
Second the motion.
Okay, a motion has been made and seconded to pay bills 53 through 71, totaling $23,130.06. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Planning Commission report. The Planning Commission did not meet this month. I don't know if anybody wants to speak on their behalf or... All right, we'll move on. Tomorrow is the Board of Appeal and Equalization right here. 6 p.m. tomorrow.
I have to say I haven't received any notifications from anybody that's planning on coming, but there could be some walk-ins.
Okay. Next Planning Commission meeting is Monday, May 5th, 6:30 p.m. right here. Next Town Board meeting, Wednesday, May 14th at 7 p.m. Any other committees, meetings, events we need to talk about? Our road cleanup is this weekend, I believe.
Yes.
9 o'clock here, so all those interested, hopefully we'll have
Saturday.
some. What's that?
Saturday at 9 a.m.
Saturday, 9
Be
a.m.
here for
Saturday.
coffee and donuts. Bring gloves.
Will you have the bin of the vest?
Yes.
Thanks for that.
Unfinished business, we got the a.Hill permit application.
Is that you?
Am I supposed to say something?
Is that you?
Read it.
Oh,
Sorry, this is Carla. I'm Carla.
Okay.
Dawn's neighbor.
Why don't you come up and tell us what you want to do? Because it's been,
What changed?
Oh.
She's on
I'm
crutches.
on crutches.
oh, he'll hand you the mic then. He's
I
got,
can-
oh,
I
it's
get
a,
my pick off of it. Is that okay?
well, no, we get complaints from
Live stream.
the rest of the world.
Hi, I'm Carla, and just a little background, we've lived here now for like 5 years, I think. Bought the property in October of 19. It's always been our dream to build a home in the back part of our lot of our condominium. We've been to a couple of these meetings prior to even buying the property to make sure that what we wanted to build was okay to build in the township. Yep, no problem, okay? In the barn dominion part, right? So, a couple years later, we went to another board meeting and were told things that apparently weren't true. And then my husband was back in October, met with you guys or met with, the planning, we both met with the planning committee on Monday. Then Wednesday, he came back and met with you guys. And we were denied. And from what I understand, I wasn't there. My dad was on hospice in my house, I couldn't believe. And from what I understand, it was an issue with the tearing down of the old house, from what I understand. I'm not sure, no.
Well, it not only was that, it was the time limit. You were asking at
Oh,
that
okay,
time,
that's
you
right,
wanted
that's
4
right.
to
Tom
5
said like
years
3 to 6 years, because we
to build it.
right, we wanted to pay cash, blah, blah, blah. You're right, okay, perfect. We are all set to go. The plans have not changed any from what you would have gotten back in October. I've talked to Phil a couple times. Phil told me that the planning committee actually did approve it. It was the board that stopped it, am I correct? Because of
Yeah.
those issues.
Yep.
Okay. So we are back, good to go. Sorry, Tom's got held up at work, that's why he's not here. So the timelines aren't going to be an issue. The only question we have, and I talked to Phil about this, we know that materials are going to take at least 3 months to order. So when that timeline, 6 months, right? Was it
It's
6
like
months?
180 days, what is it,
180
6 months?
Is that 6 months?
That won't.
Yeah.
Okay, when does that time start?
Okay, well, what we could do is, if it's approved tonight,
Okay.
I can hold off actually putting the permit into the inspection department
Okay,
until you guys tell me you have your stuff
okay,
on the ground,
okay.
and then I'll put it through. It could take 2 weeks for it to go through. They sometimes have questions, they'll get back to your builder, and builder, blah, 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 back and forth. But, yeah, we could, I don't have to put it in tomorrow.
Yeah, because he told us that, and that, the longer we wait, the worse that's gonna get, because people are all gearing up to build now, so, it's 3 months. He said 2 to 3, but 3 being the longest, so. Lester
We can
Buildings,
stay in contact.
okay, yeah, Lester Buildings is doing that, I don't know if anybody cares about that, but.
And they build it for you?
Yeah, they built the shell, yep, yep,
And then how about the old house, how does that all work?
then it gets torn down,
Okay.
yeah.
And so you're gonna run all the septic and the.
There's a separate septic.
That's all.
Yep, there's a separate septic. The well will stay with the well that we have now, which is in the basement of the old house. So we've already had Washington County, well, we've had them, the septic guys came out last fall, summer, whatever it was, and it's already been, our contractor's already having a conversation with Washington County about that, so that's what I can tell you. I went to pick up my cabinets today, yeah, that was exciting. So,
I guess the only question we got is, how long do you want from the time the new one is built to tear the old one down?
well, I've talked a lot to Tom, and I've talked about that. So my problem that I have is if they finish it in January, I can't dig up my perennials from around that house until spring. So,
Okay,
you know,
yeah,
right, I mean, any woman understands that, because I have no idea where I want them until I can actually plant them, right?
So 3 months,
before you even get it, get your
Right.
material.
Right.
So that's April, May, June, July. 3 months to build it.
Does the garage,
September,
does the garage
October.
have to come down too, or can they
The
keep the
estimate that we
garage?
got from our
could
builder
stay
was
on an
6 to 9
accessory
months
building.
for
What's
building.
that?
It'd be an accessory building that
Or,
could stay.
that was
So they
for
don't have to
everything,
tear it
though.
down.
I'm sorry.
Wouldn't have to.
I didn't
That
think so.
included
Okay, I
the shell
just,
as well, from my understanding. They said to build the shell, so let me back up. So 3 months to get the materials, and then about another month to build the shell. And then the inside guy takes over.
Okay.
Does that make sense?
well, you know, when your permit application goes through, from the day it goes through and gets, the funding, you have 180 days to complete your house.
Which.
Without
we
ask-
wait Till that starts, till I talk to, our stuff is on the ground.
That
Okay.
starts when you get your building application,
Right.
Okay. Which we can wait until the stuff is on the ground.
and you can wait until the stuff is on the ground. Then you have 180 days to complete the project. If not, you know, you can ask for an extension, you know, but we would really like to see it done in 180 days. As far as getting that house tore down, we'd just like to see a reasonable time. We don't like to see it sit for a year or two.
Or a year.
Me either, yeah.
So we'd have to,
I don't have a problem with 6 months on that either.
yeah, I don't either,
It'll bring her into
so,
spring anyway. She can at
Some way,
least
shape, or form, you
dig
get,
up her perennials.
Dig up my perennials.
So 6
Yeah, you
months.
don't- yeah,
Taylor and I
you know.
planted like 57 of them around my house, I'm not willing to give them up.
So 6 months after date of occupation?
well, I hate to put, what do you call it? What is it? What's the form you get when it's all done?
Certificate of occupation.
Certificate of occupancy, because
That's
some
me.
houses never get one. I mean, you screw around long enough and they never get one, so it's 6 months from never. So I'd sooner have 6 months from substantial completion. I mean, you get what I'm after. We've had people that,
And
yeah,
I'll call my husband first if I'm not in my house.
well, they
yeah,
would get, they'd get that certificate from the inspector.
yeah. But what if it don't get done,
What don't get done?
the house? Yeah, I mean, what if something happens that don't get finished? Is I'm getting
Where they
that.
move in?
Because that's happened to us, where stuff,
Yeah, I understand.
look at Ray Kaiser's thing. Drag on for what, 2-3 years? You know, that,
Move down there.
I don't know.
yeah,
Longer.
longer than that.
Yeah.
So I don't mind, just you give them 6 months to build a thing, and then after that's
It's like
done,
June, July, which would be plenty of time. to
and
get it.
I'd just put in there, I'd sooner say, give them 6 months to tear the
From
old one down.
substantial completion.
After substantial completion of the other one. Does that sound right?
That sounds fair.
Yeah.
Now, you agree to that on film?
I agree to that on film.
Okay.
And
I
if,
don't control the weather though, I will say. that.
yeah, and if you have a problem, let us know. Our concern is we just don't want
I understand.
the new place being started, like we've had in the past, and, well, we didn't get a certificate of completion because they never completed, and it's been 3.5 years.
Right.
And I don't intend to get one, you know, I mean, we've had that, so.
Perfect.
That sound good to you guys?
Sounds good to me.
You good? Okay.
We need a motion
So we need a
and
motion to approve the building permit application.
I'll make a motion to approve their, oh, I make a motion to approve their submitted building permit application along with the stipulations we just talked about.
With the time limits?
Yeah, with the time
So
limits.
do we, I know you're gonna wait until the stuff's on the ground, but do we get anything now so we can, can we just tell our contractor we're good to go, let's move on this, or do we have to
Well,
show
it's
them
a-
something,
it-
or?
You know, after
We really
listening to
don't
this,
need anything from us. We approved it.
Okay.
I wouldn't be objecting to doing this is, you know, usually we give, what, they give them 6 months on the building on the building permit for substantial completion. Here's what I don't want to happen to them, is we approve it tonight, and then all of a sudden, like Pam says, it's gotta go through once they get their stuff in the ground, well, then you take another 3-4 weeks for the building inspector, 2 weeks to do his thing. Would you want to increase?
you can't.
we-
It's kind of state, you can't
Oh, is
increase
it?
their time. Yeah,
Oh,
it's
okay,
180. If there's an issue, they can get one extension.
Oh,
Oh,
yeah.
there's a bug.
Okay.
I think if your builder wants, you can send them the minutes from tonight's
Oh,
meeting,
sure,
and it'll say
okay.
that we approved it. And that should-
Perfect.
Yeah.
Or I can write something up to you, for you,
Yeah.
on letterhead too.
Yeah.
I wondered if there was some official that I needed.
So we still need a second?
So the motion was made to approve and seconded?
I'll second the motion.
Okay, the motion has been made to approve and seconded. All in favor, say aye.
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 Thank you, Pete. Next time, maybe I can handle the house.
Road weight limit ordinance. Road weight limit ordinance. I think, Dick, you're gonna handle that?
Okay,
I've got it up to, if anybody
yeah.
wants to
Pam-
read the
Pam's got it
latest and
up there.
greatest.
Little background for people at home. After we proposed our weight limit ordinance, Holston didn't like it, Rachel Development didn't like it, and so then we met with Cottage Grove, and we're under, we're working with them on Gray Cloud Trail. We had a meeting with them, me and Phil and Pam were there, and we told them our concern was we don't want the road wrecked. You know, the road's in perfect condition right now, and with Rachel's supposedly 31,000 truckloads of stuff going down there, and no other way to get there, we want some type of assurance when this is done that our road's in good shape, and if it isn't in good shape, somebody's going to fix it other than our residents. We haven't come to anything yet. We're waiting to have another meeting with them on this. So in the meantime, we sit. But what our intention to do is adopt our ordinance, and the ordinance really doesn't go into effect until the road is posted. But what I don't want to do is not adopt the ordinance, and then all of a sudden we want to put up signs, and we meet every month, so it takes another month to get back here to adopt the ordinance. Okay? And in the meantime, hopefully after we adopt this, we can get something straightened out with our workshops with Cottage Grove and get the trail posted or not posted or whatever we end up with. But in the meantime, we want to post Great Cloud Island Drive because that road's in bad shape. What's kind of interesting is working with the county's been very good to us. They offered, it's been back in September of '24, they offered to do testing on our roads. And we only got about 6 pages of this testing. Well, when we went with Cottage Grove, there's all these pages. There's a whole bunch more to it. Okay, now going through this, what we've been trying to do over a period of time, over about the last 9 months, is get some engineer to say, your roads can handle this much weight, or they can't handle this much weight, and it don't happen. I don't care who I ask, where I go. I ask the county engineers. Cottage Grove didn't give us an answer. I asked the engineer we had for our roads. I don't care where you go. No engineer wants to put his name on there. Okay, so now interesting looking at this testing, this American Engineering and Testing. It's kind of interesting. They did a few different things. They called it like a thump test on the road to see what the base is good for. And what's interesting is all the roads came back as either higher than a 10-ton base or just a little bit less. And a 10-ton base is actually interstate freeway. Okay, and what's real interesting is Great Cloud Trail, that came back at about over 10 tons. Great Cloud Island Drive came back at about 10 tons. Okay, so now, yeah, it is kind of interesting, isn't it? So what they're saying is the base is good, but then they have a PCI, Pavement Condition Index. All right. Great Cloud Trail came back 94.3. Island Drive came back 40.9. Okay. And then they give you all these, they did x-ray things, samples and all this, did a ton of information, but nowhere in the report does it say it'll handle this truck, this load, this many trucks, and on and on. That's not in there anywhere. All right. So anyway, what we intend to do, if we pass tonight, is adopt our ordinance and put 4-ton axle limit on Great Cloud Trail, or Great Cloud Island Drive, excuse me, And Great Cloud Trail, we'll wait and see where we end up with on Cottage Grove. So that's the extent of my knowledge. It is interesting looking at this book, though, they gave us. The only thing I'll say on Great Cloud Trail, and I did mention this to Cottage Grove people when we were up there, the only boring they did was kind of by Roller's house or Kelly's house, right in that area in there. And I know the base under that part is better. The worst part of that road is probably down by the end of Geneva. That night, we told them that last 300 feet, because that's the part that went bad before. And you just look at the farm fields, and they're all sandy and stuff toward the west, and you get down toward the east, and you got black dirt. So it makes sense, and I kind of wish they'd have done the boring part down there, because I don't think the base would have been as good. And we told Jennifer Levitt and their public works people that. So anyway, that's where we're at. So I'll make a motion to adopt our ordinance 62, road weight limits.
Second the motion.
Okay, motion is made and seconded. Any further discussion on that?
Tom Schmidt, General Manager, Wholesome. If I'm understanding this right, I haven't seen a draft. You're going to post your document just has as posted, but it doesn't have limits?
Right.
The limits are in the document,
The limits will be posted on the roads,
but not in an ordinance?
not in the ordinance.
Okay,
That way we can change them. If we meet with Cottage Grove and,
so, I had some comments last time, I'll reiterate my
Okay.
comments. I understand we have an engineering report. We're making a decision not based on engineering principles. There is design guides for roads that tell you what a road can handle based on a design guide. It doesn't seem like we're consulting someone to give us that opinion. Passing the ordinance without specific limits in it provides substantial uncertainty for residents and businesses that use the roads. We don't have a clear guidance as to when that posting will happen and what that posting will be. So very uncertain. We still, as far as I understand, there's no procedure in place. There's no preparations made on how to handle overweight permit requests. There's no forms, processes, accepted way to do that. It's cart before the horse. I think we should have that in place before that gets passed. And we still have, I still have the question of inconsistent application of the posting weights. It seems strange that a resident can bring a concrete truck in that would exceed the posted limit of the road and would not be enforced. The ordinance would not be enforced, but someone outside of the neighborhood would have that enforced. It's inconsistent enforcement. You may have problems with, I know from our company's perspective, if you order a load of concrete and the road's posted less than our truck, we will not go down that road. It is illegal. There's no way to differentiate, well, it's for the neighbors or it's for a company or a business. I don't see how you're gonna work around that. And the last thing
I guess I don't understand that. What do you mean, how are we gonna work around that? If the road is posted, it's posted for everybody. Are you saying that we're gonna let our residents
that's the way the
overload
last
the road?
ordinance was written.
yeah, we got an exception in there.
You have an exception
What's
in there
the-
that residents
yeah,
don't
but-
have to follow the rules, but everybody else does.
The exceptions, I thought, were for garbage trucks and,
No, I can answer part of your questions.
Okay?
Okay.
Well, one more, and then
Oh.
we'll go to that. The other one I want to point out, and I pointed out this last time, you may have the unintended consequence of getting more truck traffic, not less. Because when you reduce the load, it takes double the trips or triple the trips to get the same amount of freight through. All right.
Okay. I'll do your last one last. Okay. You know, everything you read is, basically what you're saying is, okay, 80,000 pound load, you need 80,000, you bring one truck. Well, maybe you need 3 truckloads for. Well, maybe it should be increased where, you know, instead of 80,000 pounds, a truck can be 160,000 pounds. You know, we don't have these figures in front of, but I've seen where, you know, lighter loads, yeah, it takes more loads, but it does less damage to the roads, okay? You're asking about the road restriction variance. That's what I got here. I plagiarized from Cottage Grove. We're going to adopt that and put it into our fees next. That takes care of that problem. as far as exception to residential, read this so people read it. Township Act's weight limits outside of dates for spring weight restrictions shall not apply to deliveries or pickups from residential properties within the township. Reason for that being, we got a minimum of 31,000 truckloads of stuff just for Rachel going down Gray Cloud Trail, plus whatever these guys haul. That 1 or 2 truckloads to a residential property around here is basically nothing. I mean, if we had a resident that wanted to bring in 400 truckloads, we'd have a problem, but that's not a problem. And I've seen that in other places too, where they let the other ones in. So that took care of your weight restriction thing. That talked about weight limits, and as posted, you talk about your trucks won't go down there if it exceeds the weight limit. We have the exception in the ordinance for the weight limits for them trucks you're talking about. If Semstone or you want to deliver to somebody's house, that exception's in there for them to bring it down there, to go there. So yeah, they can go down there. And a lot of them will call. We've already had them call. We've already had calls. In fact, you guys called. Well, Vic's Towing did. What was your other question? Oh, engineering thing. You find me an engineer that will say that road will haul so much, and have them put some security agreement behind it. I've been trying to find an engineer that'll say that a road will handle so much weight, so many loads, without damage to the road. I cannot find them. If you can find me one, and he'll say this road will hold X amount of tons with so much weight, and that guy will put his stamp of approval on there, and a security agreement to pay for damages, by God, bring him in here.
And that's basically.
Because I can't find one that'll allow it. I want to see you find one that'll say it's good. Everything we got, you talk about engineering, right there, American Engineering and Testing, we got that book, and I'm sure, you probably got a copy of that?
I haven't seen it, but
Well, if you get it, take a look at it. When they sit and say in here, all these people do is give you the conditions. They give you the pavement condition index, they give you radar readings underneath the road, they give you pavement condition index, what the base will hold, but nowhere in here do they put it all together and say, oh yeah, you got a 10-ton base, you got this much top, and that road is good for so much. Not in there, not in there. One place, I went through this back and forth, I was hoping I'd find that in there. It's not in there. Because you know why? No engineer wants to put his name out there and say, yep, I think that road's good for 80,000 pounds, for 31,000 truckloads, and there'll be no damage to it. They ain't gonna put their name on that and sign it. So why should we take that chance as a community? We met at Cottage Grove, and we told them right out, because Jennifer Levitt brought up, she said, well, geez, it's kind of funny, she didn't go into detail on this. All she said was, well, your PCI, your pavement condition index, is higher on your part of Gray Cloud Trail than ours, which it was. Well, theirs was 9.7 or something. Ours was, whatever it was, they were a little bit different. But then I got to talking. Yeah, your road's about 3 to 4 feet wider than ours, okay? And on ours, when a truck comes down there, the duals on it are right on the fog line at the edge of the road. I told him, I says, look at Jamaica Avenue up there for years. You can see right where the duals run on the trucks. Okay, and you got a curb to hold the blacktop in there. We got nothing to hold the blacktop in there. We got the fog line here, and a lot of places there's about 2 to 3 feet of dirt, and then it drops off. I told him, I said, what's going to happen when you drive on there? Well, they had to agree it'll probably do this. I said, it's kind of like stepping on a cow pie. You step on it, it's going to go somewhere if there's nothing to hold it. So again, you find your engineer to come down here, tell me that road, whatever road you want, will hold so much weight. He'll put a security agreement behind it to pay for any damages, and we'll talk. Until then, we cannot afford to have 80,000-pound trucks running down Gray Cloud Trail or Gray Cloud Island Drive. Right. In today's dollars, we looked at it, that's about an $800,000 road for us to fix. We're putting away about $100,000 a year for roads right now. Okay, that's $700,000 to $800,000 is today's dollars. What's that going to be in 7, 8 years? Probably be $1 million. So you can see where we do not have the money. And as you know, that road's it's a piece of shit. It's all broken up on top. It ain't going anywhere, but in the condition it's in, I don't see where 80,000-pound trucks running up and down it, it'll hold up to it. Again, you find an engineer that'll come in here and tell me that road will hold trucks running up and down at 80,000 pounds, bring him in. I want to see the guy. I want to see his checkbook. I want to see his security agreement, or yours, or whoever's. Whoever wants to run trucks up and down there at 80,000 pounds, have at it. But put your money where, where it counts.
As a taxpayer and a member of the community, I'm looking for infrastructure that can support the business and the use we're doing.
Yeah,
I'm not the one trying to close the road.
yeah,
So
right.
the other thing is, for clarity's sake, did the township hire an engineer to do this study, or was it just free pro bono stuff that they asked the county for and got what we got?
The county hired him.
So
We were talking to the county offered to do it, and the county hired American Engineering and Testing.
okay, so we're left with I have two questions to round this out. The uncertainty in the document, is there any reason those dates and amounts would not be put in the ordinance?
Well, the dates will, as soon as we approve it, it takes two parts to make this ordinance official. One is adoption of an ordinance that will probably happen tonight, and the next thing to make it official is posting.
Resolution, posting the resolution.
Oh,
And I've got the resolution here.
oh, okay.
Again, I haven't
Yeah.
seen the most recent document, but as the recent document is written, the ordinance doesn't say what these roads will be posted at. It just says,
Right.
as posted.
Yeah,
So even if you go out there today and you post them at whatever you want to post them at,
yep.
they can be changed at any time with virtually no notice, or how does that?
Yeah, that's correct, yeah.
Is that how, I'm ignorant to this, is that how typically townships and cities do this?
I've looked at Cottage Grove, and I've looked at Woodbury and some other ones, and most of them, in all reality, aren't complying with the law. Yeah, I talked to Woodbury and I asked him, how do you handle, because they got a handful of them posted. And they see, because I said, do you have an ordinance on this? Because the state law says you have to, it says we have the right to post them, but in order to make it official, we have to adopt an ordinance and they have to be posted. Okay, so it takes two things. Okay, I called the guy in Woodbury. They're not really following that. He said, generally, we work with our builders that are building around. We come to an agreement, you'll use this road, that road, or whatever. Cottage Grove, the only thing I could find in theirs, on their ordinance was, I think it's something like certain portions of Hadley will be closed between 80th and 90th Street. And they got a sign up there, nothing over 15,000 pounds, and that's their ordinance part. Other parts of their city, I've noticed out in Old Cottage Grove, I got them here if you want them, they're posted, but they don't really have an ordinance to back them up. So other places, actually, we'll probably be in compliance better than they are.
Better than most. So the last question I have for the board is, at the last meeting, we were contemplating passing this resolution. To my understanding, your legal counsel, and I believe it's in the minutes at the time,
Yep,
suggested that wasn't a good idea.
yep.
What has changed that now
He-
you have legal support to make this change from your counsel?
Okay, at the last meeting, I don't know if you guys, might have been you guys or Rachel, whoever, they got a hold of, between somebody and the three of them, between you guys or Rachel or Cottage Grove, they got a hold of our township attorney, and he called us and he said Cottage Grove wanted to talk. They wanted to talk about this ordinance thing. So he said, could you hold off and adopt an ordinance? Sure, we can do that. So since then, we met with Cottage Grove, and I told you what transpired there, and we're waiting to get back together with them. That's what's changed on it. And Cottage Grove, they don't seem to have a problem with Island Drive. This is not affecting their Rachel development where Gray Cloud Trail was. And they don't know what they're going to do. Even one of our suggestions to them was, you take over the road. Because our key thing to it was, that road was put in 2020, so it'll be 5 years old this summer, and it looks like brand new. I mean, I drive down there ain't even an expansion crack in there, nothing. There's nothing. You look at the road, the horizontal thing on it, it's it's perfect, there's no damage done. We said, that's what we expect it to look like when your development is done down there. They said, well, we got pictures of it and surveys and all that too. So we said, you come back with something to guarantee us that if the road goes bad, you'll fix it. They did tell us at a previous meeting, they said, well, if it goes bad, we'll fix it. Well, like we told them, well, you can say you'll fix it, but then you turn around, that goes, well, it was aggregates, mining trucks that wrecked it. Well, no, it was, aggregates, concrete trucks. Well, no, it wasn't. It was Apple Valley Ready Mix. No, it was Semstone. No, it was the Blacktopper. We said, we ain't interested in that stuff. We want, it's you guys' development. You let us know how you want to take care of it. And we asked them 3 different times, why do you care about this road? Because it's really doesn't affect the city. It's really all about Rachel down there. If Rachel wasn't down there, we wouldn't be having this conversation. And we are concerned because when we first met with them, Dan Ullman was on the board. Yeah, it was me and Dan, and I don't know who else met with them. They had an estimation of how many trucks would go down there, how many truckloads of stuff. And even before we had that meeting, I just figured out roughly myself, and I come up with 30,000 loads of stuff going down there. Their thing came back 15,000 truckloads. Well, the first thing we looked at the thing, it said half the ready mix trucks are going to go up 103rd Street, half the trucks are going to go through St. Paul Park. Well, Dan said, wait a minute. He said that bridge is 10'4", a ready mix truck is 12'6". Your report here is, it's not accurate. Oh, we'll have to give that back to the developer. Well, they gave it back to Rachel. Like I say, I had 30,000 loads that I figured. They come back with 31,000 loads. And that didn't include the probably 400 to 500 loads they hauled down here last fall out of Maplewood down here. So anyway, why they're concerned, they never answered us. But they are concerned. I don't know if there was something with the contractor or whatever, But Cottage Grove did add all that dirt. I'll give them this. When all that dirt was coming down, we had a lot of residents complain. I'm sure you've seen all them trucks coming down there. They called Cottage Grove and complained to them, and Cottage Grove went down and said, hey, anything that fits under the bridge, you run it up and down 103rd, not through St. Paul Park. So anyway, we're waiting to get back together with them. That's part of the reason we changed your question about as posted. We didn't want to put the numbers in there because if we come to an agreement, if we say we come to an agreement with, let's just say we put in there, I'm just throwing a number out, 7 tons. And we come to an agreement with Cottage Grove, 8 tons or 6 tons or 5. Now, we can't change that for 30 days till we come back here and have another meeting. We don't want to run into that. That's why we want to adopt this tonight, because I want to get that Great Cloud Island Drive posted right after spring road restrictions go away. Again, like I say, you keep asking for an engineer's report. This is the best thing we got. County provided it. They paid for the money. There's a lot of detail in there, but not one thing in there says that road will hold that much weight with that much traffic or anything. It don't say, it just gives you the conditions. It says the pavement condition index is this much, the base is this much, there's core samples taken, there's pictures of the core samples. They leave it all up to somebody else to come along and do that. And if you got an engineer working for Wholesome that'll come along and put his name and number out there and assurance, come and see us.
Okay. So, long answer to the original question. Your legal advisement is in support of this resolution at this time then?
He is, what he told me, what we should do for this is get with Cottage Grove and Rachel Development and whoever else wants to be involved in it and come up with some kind of an agreement, and that's what we're looking for, is an agreement that they will cover the damages done to that road. Regardless of what this says, this could be written in Egyptian hieroglyphics as far as I'm concerned. All we want to do is have that road maintained the way it is now. And it's a 9-ton road now, but 3 years down the road, is it going to be a 9-ton road? It's going to cut the life of that road in half, and we can't afford to. So if they're willing to come up with an agreement and stand behind the agreement with written, and then we won't have a need to post it. But if they don't come up with that agreement, it will get posted.
What our attorney rings a bell, as Phil said, what our attorney told us was, make sure you get some type of an assurance agreement.
But it's gotta be written
To,
agreement.
yeah,
not a
to maintain, to fix the road. That was his big concern.
Okay.
His first concern was we're going about it, after Cottage Grove called him, he wanted us to reach out to Cottage Grove and see what they had to say. So we did that, and then we're working on, like I say, we're,
A joint powers
yeah,
of agreement.
yeah, we're working on some type of agreement with them. When did we have that meeting, Pam? When was that? Week and a half ago? Couple weeks ago?
Couple
Week
weeks
and a half.
ago.
Yeah, a week and a half ago or so.
So
It
we're
was
waiting
me,
for that.
Phil, Pam, there,
Bailey, Jennifer,
the mayor, Jennifer Levitt, Public Works Director,
fire chief.
Fire Chief,
Some other
Public
guy.
Works Director.
We got
So they had all their powers to be. They're supposed to get back to us. We haven't heard back from them since. Yeah.
Last question, I promise.
Oh, we're good for questions.
Wait a minute, you said the last one was your last one. Now you have to write the second to the last question.
I mean, would you consider an exception in your, I can never keep the road straight. The road between, which was the one you're talking about posting right now, the one between Nelson.
Between pits, yeah.
Would you consider an exception in the ordinance for, acts of God circumstances, floods, or trees down, or anything where by permission granted for a short period of time to manage something, you would consider?
Yeah.
Well, we've always, you know, we've always been lenient with the company to say, yeah, if you want to run a load, you just did that
I appreciate
recently.
that, but we've never had an
You know.
ordinance in place with a posted.
Right,
posted
right.
limit. I hope we don't need it, I don't anticipate we need it, but when the bridge is out and me or somebody else needs to get something somewhere.
There, there might even be, I'd have to read it again, but there's quite a bit in state law, and actually our ordinance says to follow state law. There's sections in there on state law and emergency situations and stuff like that, which would cover part of that. And I know you guys didn't call me, but Vic's Crane and Heavy Haul called about 3 weeks ago. And they asked, yeah, can we run down there? Well, what do you got to haul? He didn't say what they had to load, but they had one load. And I told them, I said, well, go ahead. Well, we told them do this. And they were, well, Vic's is pretty good, I think, most of the time. We said, run down the middle of the road. We said, if you got to put a truck at each end to keep the cars off it, run your load down the middle. So what we'll probably do, if this passes, which I'm sure it's gonna, then we have this road restriction, the variance request. We plagiarized it from Cottage Grove. We'll have to rewrite it. Yeah. We'll have to redo that, and then somebody wants to run an overweight permit, or oversized, they'd have to call Pam and let them know. But again, back to your thing on residential driveways, there's very few loads that I know of that go in and out of these residences around here. The biggest thing around here lately has been some dumpsters, and maybe somebody pours a driver or something. I doubt if we had 20 loads a year, maybe 30, going to residences would be a lot.
Quite a bit.
I mean, that'd probably be the max. And we're looking the other way, 10,000 a year, 15,000 a year. And if we don't post this, which way they're gonna go? If that's posted, they're gonna go this way. So that's the big difference between the residential and the other one. And there's all kinds of exceptions in there for trash service, emergency, fire trucks, stuff like that.
Okay, thank you.
So, Tom, you don't send your loaded trucks down that way anyway? Yeah?
No,
Yeah, I didn't.
typically not.
Can you, when it does get posted, could you put a thing up at the Larson, or Nelson Quarry saying that it's now posted, we have to go that way?
We already have a
They
sign.
already have a
I
sign.
think,
Yeah.
They already have to come this way.
yeah, I think there's a sign there.
They already have to come this way, yeah.
Nelson.
Curious, how much does a d.Next truck weigh loaded?
The max they
Max
can
is
be is
80,000.
80,000 pounds.
Okay, and what is the ordinance limit gonna be?
We're gonna it's an axle weight limit.
Okay.
I'd have to look in the charts we got here, but substantially less. At that 80,000 pounds is generally at a 9-ton axle weight,
Okay,
and we're going to a 4-ton axle weight.
so this will affect our concrete that's coming in?
No,
It won't?
because we got an exception in there for, you want me to read it? Well, Penny, it's up there.
I believe what you're telling me.
Still waiting on a second, then if we're done with discussion.
Second the motion.
Okay.
Okay, a motion has been made and second. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
As long as we're at that then, I sent
Jake,
this
you want to
to,
read that resolution?
what's an ordinance, not a resolution?
It's a resolution to adopt that ordinance.
Oh. If you think we have to.
I have to put this in the paper.
Oh. Even though you got it up there? Okay. Want me to? All right.
Please.
I'm running out of air. You want to read it, Jake?
Sure.
It's in your packet if you need it closer.
Resolution 2025-03, an ordinance providing weight limits in the Township of Great Cloud Island. Whereas Minnesota Statute 415.021 allows for the codification of ordinances by a city or town. Now therefore, be it resolved, Great Cloud Island Township codifies Ordinance 62, road weight limits, an ordinance adding road weight limits on Great Cloud Island Township. Be it finally resolved that the town clerk provide for the publication of this resolution in the town's newspaper of record, which will act as an official notice of the adoption of this ordinance and its availability to the public, as required by Section 415.021 of the Minnesota statutes. The entire ordinance can be viewed on the township website via Great Cloud Island twp-mn.us/documents.
That do what you need?
Now I need a motion and you guys got to adopt.
Oh, you do it again? I'll make them,
Motion to adopt resolution 2025-03.
I'll second that.
Okay, a motion has been made to adopt resolution 20525-03. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Motion is passed.
Okay, next thing I got then is there's got to be, what do you want to call it? Well, here, road restriction variance permit. I plagiarized it from Cottage Grove. We'll have to rewrite it to match us. And I sent it to Pam. I think she sent it to you guys, didn't she?
Well,
Probably did.
might have.
I don't know if we have to do anything with this, but I'd like to have an understanding of how we'll work it.
I'm trying to find it. You sent it to me and I thought I put
Yeah, I
it in
don't
my
think we need
stuff.
to.
The only thing is, okay, the only thing I wanted to get at is
Here it is.
some instructions for our clerk, because people are going to call our clerk and say, hey, I want to,
This is the plagiarized one.
yeah, we have to rewrite that.
That's easily done.
Yeah. Here's what I'd like to get to. If somebody calls Pam and asks for this, okay, I don't want to have to come back to the next board meeting to okay a permit. So in my opinion, this is what I'd say is instruct her to give the overweight permit. I don't want to just say overweight. Yeah, it would be overweight because we got that. I just wanted, if the trucks can't go the other way, then we'd allow them to go our way. If they can go the other way, go the other way.
We just have to adopt a fee, right?
Well, we got to have a fee that's separate, though.
And who fills this out, the resident or the driver?
I think.
The applicant, it could be, driver,
Says right here,
applicant.
This section.
Like
Pardon?
a resident? How would it, it's kind of.
Well,
Not the
resident,
resident, you're exempt.
Oh, okay, all right.
This is just for the, I don't know, other businesses, Excel, whoever.
what I'm trying to get at is if, what we give them something is so they go down the middle of the road.
You can write that down there.
Yeah, because this is only for
Permit
overweight.
procedure. They've got a document here for procedures, so you could put that in there under considerations or
Okay.
conditions or something.
And
Yeah,
how much
whatever.
overweight would we let them go?
Well,
I would say we've been running 9-ton up and down there for years without major problems. I would say the max overweight would just be 9 ton, because that's what, 9 ton axle weight, that's what the rest of the world is. And the big thing is make them go down the center of the road, make them block off traffic and go down the middle of the road. Does that make sense?
Yeah.
Because if we give them overweight, what's overweight? You know, if we're saying 4 ton axle weight, is it 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 20?
So you want that to be 9 ton, and then to go down the middle of the road in?
Yeah, 9 ton to go down the middle of the road.
And then
You're gonna
in
stick with that
considerations.
$72 a trip?
Oh,
Oh, yeah, you guys gotta figure that out.
yeah, that's what Cottage Grove charges.
I think we
In
have-
fact, they're the ones that told us to start charging.
I don't recall that.
You weren't there.
You weren't there.
You didn't get that
And then-
memo, Tom?
And then you can add that $72 to our fee schedule. How's that?
Okay, in consideration, add, go down the middle of the road,
Yep.
and add fees to fee schedule.
Yeah.
$72, is that okay with you
Yeah.
guys?
Yeah. And a max of 9 ton axle limit.
Okay.
All right, we got that done?
We're done with
We're
that.
done with that? Can we move on to Pioneer Road?
Okay. Got that done, that done. Pioneer Road, the reason I brought that up, well, in fact, I just wrote it down. Hey, bear with me a minute here. Okay, we know that the shoulder needs to be finished, the bank's net over there. Tracy Mann just called me right at the beginning of the meeting. I met him over there, and here's what he gave me. He gave me a price of $7,500. 10 dump truck loads of dirt, 5 dump truck loads of Class 5, and spread out for $7,500. Now, that could be more or less if they need more dirt or less dirt or whatever.
Cost would be what? I missed it.
Well, he said for $7,500, we'd get 10 loads of dirt, black dirt, he said, and 5 loads of Class 5. They said, you know, you might need more or less, depending,
Oh, that's just on that one spot down there?
well, wherever needed it, where me and you,
Did you
oh, you
look
didn't go, well, you didn't go with me, did you?
You looked at
We
the
pretty
whole-
much went from Carla's house all the way there to the curve on Pioneer Road. Pretty much that whole north-south section on the east side, we need to,
Dick, is this part of the new area or the part we just had paved?
part we just had paved.
Didn't we put that in our contingencies or plans that it had to, you
No.
didn't want steep embankments?
Yeah, well, we talked about it with the guy.
Yeah.
Originally, but he never put it in there. And part of the reason it didn't, we knew it wasn't in there. Okay, it's not a surprise.
Okay.
Is because we didn't know where the road would really end up, where the, you know what I mean? And the biggest reason too is when blacktoppers come in, they just like to do blacktop. We tear out the blacktop, we put in the blacktop. Any dirt work like that, they subcontract it out to somebody else, who is probably more expensive than somebody locally we'd find. So that's why we said we'll just wait until the blacktopping is done and go from there.
Okay.
So this is not something we're not expecting. We knew it when we
Okay.
bid it. In fact, I think Oman had them come back and put in some more Class 5 after they got done that first time. Because they were short, I think it showed like 2 feet or something, you know, it showed 2 feet out in a little slope.
Yeah.
Well,
Right.
when the bank drops off this much in 2 feet, it's,
Right.
It's just something that has to be done to protect that road from,
Yeah.
yeah.
from further damage.
So it's gonna keep the dirt in the class 5 from just washing out into the ditch.
They're gonna add on, that's what the black dirt is, they're gonna add on to it, you know, so it doesn't drop off. They're gonna bring it out and taper it down and put Class 5 on top of that.
Oh, and that was my
And then-
next question
and
too.
then
If
seed it and whatever.
Okay, after he gets this done, if we get a 100-year rainstorm, like I said, it's gonna wash away. Well, now we got 2 choices. You either pay for hydro seeding, which I got no idea what that costs, or we go buy a bunch of grass seed at Menards and throw it in there and hope for the best.
Let's start with that.
It's like
Yeah.
$75 right now for 40 pounds, just saying.
Okay,
Make sure it's 11% off.
There you go.
Send your rebate in,
Yeah.
yeah.
so
Is that treasurer
was,
duties?
that was actually the next thing on my list here. That's what I'd say, we just take our chances.
Yeah,
Me or Phil can go over and do it, and
yeah, we'll take care of that.
we'll send you a bill, and
We'll
if it
take care
washes
of that.
away, we'll end up over there with my tractor or Dan's or somebody and fix the damn thing.
Maybe you should
Okay,
do
my next
wildflower
question
seeds.
is, Tom, you don't know if you rented out your farm fields yet or not. You know anything about that?
I'm aware we're looking for somebody.
The reason I brought up the farm fields, the guy that usually rents what's his name, Tank?
Myron Tank.
Myron Tank, he's not renting them. He's not renting Wholesome's either. And what did we get last year?
$570-some for
Okay,
it.
so anyway, this guy's not doing it. So the guy that keeps cows over at sand camps by our house over there, he was interested in it to grow hay. All right, but he said, I'm not renting it for 1 year, because he said, I got a lot of expense, to seed it and all that. I want it a couple of years. And I said, well, why don't you do this? I gave him Patty Bessler's number, because they got way more acreage than us. And I said, whatever deal you work out with them, just do the same with us, because we ain't getting rich off this $500 a year. And so I don't know where that's at. I haven't heard from him, haven't heard from Patty.
I did, I heard from him, Paul. He's not interested.
I heard from Patty, too.
And Patty said she was gonna talk to Bisco.
Oh, Paul's not interested?
No.
Oh, he backed out?
Yeah,
Oh.
yeah.
Well, 3 of ours, I don't know what Wholesome's got.
Probably a total of 40.
Oh, okay.
How much are you renting it for?
No, just us, our little 3 acres,
Well, we're more than
$500.
We had 2.5 on Pioneer Road and about another 2.5 by the cemetery.
Okay, oh,
So
sorry.
we got double the acreage we thought we had. We're up to 5.
We're at 5, and we rented it to him for $576 or something.
But anyway, I was gonna get to is whatever deal Wholesome comes up with somebody, we just do the same thing. Because like here was his problem that evidently he don't want to do it now, is we meet once a month. Well, all of a sudden, a month goes by and all of a sudden, oh, well, we can't discuss this till June now. Well, it's too late to plan anything, so.
We never went through
Just
you
bring it
guys
all,
for this.
then you.
Anyway.
To start over from scratch, then he's gotta plant it, seed it. He doesn't get nothing out of it the first couple of years
Yeah.
maybe, and he just told me it was just.
Okay. So I guess the point I'm getting at is just.
Unless he changes his mind down the road, unless Patty can get Bisco or somebody to come in and do it, it'll just.
Turn to
The thing of
weeds.
it is, if it sits there, then it gets full of weeds and stuff, then we'll have to take care of it somehow. So, grow
That could
pot.
get costly.
Maybe we get some kids to grow, maybe Lynn can grow some pot over there or something.
Somebody suggest that once.
Okay.
Yes.
For
I
$500, it's a
think
pretty
half
good
the
deal.
room went, what?
So I just hope we get an understanding, whatever Wholesome does, we
Calm down.
just agree with it.
Right.
We don't have to come back here.
Yep, right.
And that ambulance we pretty much covered, right?
No.
No, we haven't covered that
Haven't
yet
even
in
talked about
other.
the ambulance.
That'd be in new business, so
That'll be under
there's,
new business. So no other unfinished business to speak of? All right, let's move on to, we got another resolution to adopt.
so what this resolution is, basically, we're stating that we are going to be scanning our files. And apparently you have to have a resolution that says that you do that. So,
Did you already scan them?
yeah, they're scanned, so, yeah, this is after the fact. But this rule is after the fact, okay? So I don't know, if somebody want to read that? Please?
Resolution 2025-04. Great Cloud Island Township does hereby adopt a policy of reproducing documents in the course of township business. Whereas Minnesota Statute 600.135 provides that if any department or agency of government in the regular course of business or activity has kept or recorded any memorandum, writing, entry, print, representation, or combination thereof of any act, transaction, occurrence, or event, and in the regular course of business has caused any or all of the same to be recorded, copied, or reproduced by any photographic, photostatic, microfilm, microcard, miniature photographic, optical disc imaging, or other process which accurately reproduces or forms a durable medium for so reproducing the original may be destroyed.
Okay, so we got, do we have a motion to adopt resolution 2025-04?
You just made it.
Okay, second?
I'll second it.
Okay, motion has been made and second. Any other discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Now we can move on to,
EMS.
Ambulance.
we had met with Cottage Grove, and they are, excuse me, they are gonna come down next month, excuse me, and give a presentation on what it costs, for ambulance service in our township. They're asking for a sizable amount from us, because they're losing money. So they're gonna come down next month and give a presentation as to why that is necessary.
Who comes now?
They come now.
Oh, they're coming now.
They come now, but,
We don't pay for it.
according to them, it costing them quite a bit of money.
Which is coming out of their taxpayers'
Which comes out
dollars,
of theirs,
not
so-
ours.
Did you send the thing, the follow-up correction that it was actually June?
Yes, I did.
Okay, he's saying May.
You're saying May? Quit that.
Yeah.
That's what screwed me up the first time.
Yeah,
No, I said next month. I said next month.
yeah.
June 11th.
What is it?
Next month is May.
Oh, May, I thought we were in May already.
Got an extra month back.
June 11th.
That's what you get for being retired. You don't know what day it is.
Or month.
All right, whatever.
And we're
Yeah.
not the Lone Ranger in this. They're meeting with St. Paul Park and Newport too.
Well, what do they want to do? Just charge us more money?
Yeah. Yeah, they're looking at about for 25, 7,000 something. Might as well say 8. And then
So they
8 to
wanna,
next year and,
they wanna make it, the individual contribution from Gray Cloud should equal the individual contribution of Cottage Grove citizens on their tax record, is what they're saying. So it's weighted proportionally.
Are we
Right.
paying ambulance on our taxes now?
We're not.
Because you got, township pays for it?
Cottage Grove is paying for it.
They're footing the entire bill,
Oh, I see.
Yeah.
other than what they get back from insurance.
here's, I'll tell you what they told us a little. It's because it's kind of interesting. I think I got this right on the Medicare thing. Because they said, well, let me back up. I think they said they had 44 calls down here in last year. Okay, which is probably way more than people think. Okay. And then if they show up and you don't get into ambulance, they can't charge you, but it still costs them money, or any ambulance, or they're all the same, not just Cottage Grove. Okay, and then on the Medicare ones, let me know if I'm right on this. The way I understood it, they said, if it's a Medicare patient, you're on Medicare, and you show up, and the ambulance, I'm just pulling numbers out, the ambulance bill is $3,000, and Medicare only allows $1,200, all they get is the $1,200.
Plus
And-
the $257 for the run from the owner or the person,
Okay. And,
if they pay it.
and they're not allowed to charge that Medicare patient that extra amount of money. Because Medicare says you can only charge this much money.
And
So,
the PowerPoint says that 71% of ambulance services to Gray Cloud last year were Medicaid or Medicare.
yeah,
So they took a loss on 71% of ambulance service.
yeah. And it's the same up there. It ain't, we're not the Lone Ranger in who needs medical care.
And they're doing this also with St. Paul Park because they get their EMS from them as well.
So, sorry, what's the proposed dollar amount for the township?
$7,058
Okay.
a year
For 25,
for 2025, and it may change, yeah.
yeah.
Okay.
So we'll have to add that.
Can only go
You-
up.
You might as well add that in your little budget thing for the
Yeah.
fall.
Yep.
This fall, we'll have to talk about that.
I saw in the news the other night, they're asking for 50 million for ambulance help in the state. I mean,
Yeah,
budget.
yeah.
Could ours come out of there?
What I would guess on that is, even charging us the 7,000, they're losing money. They're not breaking even with us.
Yeah.
Okay,
No, but
Big time.
That would help.
They're gonna be taxing us $50 million, and then we're gonna get taxed again. So it's like we're triple dipping here.
well,
If we take
I,
that money out of that 50 million and leave us alone,
the 50 million would probably make them break even.
I don't know.
Yeah,
I don't know.
yeah.
I don't know if we could get it, but possibly Cottage Grove
Yeah.
could get it. And then
that
maybe
slide shows
our
the
cost would go down.
increase.
Pardon me,
The
this?
real problem is the cost increase of ambulance transportation.
Yeah, well, it's, part of the ambulance.
the 50 million wouldn't make wouldn't make them solvent, I would say, I would say. And a lot of that, it's kind of funny, I seen what you're talking about. A lot of that 50 million was for rural outstate, so whether cottage, we're in the 7-county metro area.
All right, anything else?
I was just thinking about Pioneer Road. What irks me is the snowplow blows half the gravel off into the side. And I was over there on the cemetery, I went over to grade the road for it, and I pulled some of the rock in. I'm having trouble getting Rumpke to pull the rocks from the side in when they go out there. So I was thinking about having them grade it, no rocks at first, and just go over and grade the thing while everything is still soft and wet and before the weeds grow up good. And then later this summer, if we think we need gravel or whatever, we go look at it again. So if it's okay with you guys, I'll call them and tell them to go grade it and pull the rocks back in.
Pull the shit back in, yeah.
Yeah.
Pull the shoulders back in. All right, the only other thing is don't forget this Saturday, 9 o'clock. Spread the word. We could use all the help. Clean up the roads. We have donuts and cookies and coffee and milk and...
Juice and,
Pam, do you want to just mention to them what I talked about? Or should I
Sure.
actually talk about it?
okay, so, yeah, I can mention it since I'm right here and you'd have to, prior to the meeting, it was brought up that there's a tree down by Tipke's near, or by, like where Loveland's used to live. There's, in the right-of-way, and
Well, we know where it is.
I discussed with her,
Cut that when we had the last
Yeah.
one. I wondered if we cut it or if Cottage Grove cut it, and it's, because it's in Gray Cloud, it's past the Cottage Grove sign. And so I thought, well, maybe they just got it off the road, so you guys did that?
No, we did that.
Okay.
That's something else we need to address too, why she brought that up, of getting green leaf or somebody to go along and pick up all the trees that have been down and cut in the ditch. Can you give them, you want to give them a holler, or you want Pam to call them and see what they would,
what do we want to stop at? Because what roads, I mean, all of them that would break us,
Can't we just leave them?
can't leave them in the right-of-way.
I don't think you should leave it.
Oh.
It's the,
No,
this
that-
thing again.
Oh, we
Right on the-
know exactly where it is, what it is.
that one there?
Dupree
yeah.
Polta Tree Service did that in a snowstorm.
Right, yeah.
I mean, if you want, I can meet with them and just go around and kind of show them what we want picked up and get an idea. They doesn't have to be done right away,
Yeah.
but I think we should.
You want to do that?
Yeah.
Okay.
That's okay.
Yeah. Yeah, just
All right.
whatever it costs, it costs. We ain't got much choice.
I'll have a motion to adjourn.
Unless anybody's got anything else. Oh, we're gonna bring up the mows.
Oh.
Place is looking better.
Bring up the
Throw it down
road.
there.
Yeah, thank you so much.
Yeah.
Thank you so much.
I totally forgot to get receipts sent to them, and so I'm still waiting for them. Those receipts to be emailed to me,
Okay.
send them to.
You don't have to send them to us as long as, because I drove down there and I didn't have to dodge the junk to kind of get turned around, so it was looking a whole lot better. So,
When did you drive down?
2 days ago?
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
Yeah. looking
So-
good.
Yeah.
Mud, yeah.
No, I didn't drive in the place. I still see junk back there, so just don't haul more in and keep it clean out front like you got it, and hopefully your neighbors will be happy, and we'll be happy, and you'll be
Keep at it.
happy, and
Keep at it.
move to George.
I asked Pam that.
Second, all in favor?
Aye.
Well,
Yeah.